Okay, good. Okay, well, we're gonna start and call the meeting to order for the KVFD 501c3. This is the Kirkwood Volunteer Fire Department non-profit public benefit corporation meeting. So this was organized as a non-profit benefit charitable organization on October 9th, 2014 as a 501c3. The specific purpose of this corporation is to perform fundraising activities in support of the Kirkwood Volunteer Fire Department and the Kirkwood community. This corporation is required to hold an annual board meeting. So let's start with see our attendance.
Okay. Minutes around
Here,
Thornbrook here. Tucker.
Christensen.
Is
Eric's okay.
Eric?
Christensen.
Oh,
Eric is not here.
Eric. Oh. He's still. Okay. Christensen, absent.
Absent. Okay. So we will start working on action items, agenda item 3. The review and approve the minutes from December 6th, 2024.
I didn't see anything wrong. I would move to approve the minutes of December 6th, 2024.
I will second that motion. All in favor, give it aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed? Okay. Move on to agenda item 3B, the 2024 federal and state tax returns. Terry, can you help us with this one item?
So I've reached out to the CPA and they have provided a list of items that they need, so I'm currently working on getting those items to them.
And when will that, do we have a deadline on when that?
Deadline, I believe, is November 15th for filing deadline.
Correct. Great. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. We're gonna have to, we appreciate you about that. Any other questions or any actions that we need to take on that one? Any action? Okay, let's move on to 3C, continue monitoring the KVFD finances by KMPD Finance Committee. So historically, the KVFD 501c3 has asked the KMPD Finance Committee to monitor and keep track of the finances. So this would be authorizing and asking the KMPD Finance Committee to continue to do that. Questions on this?
And just and the finance committee is John and
Me. Focus.
Okay.
All right.
It's hard to keep track.
Yeah, I keep changing my hairstyle.
Hard to recognize you.
Okay, are we okay continuing to do that and make a request for that
Yes.
as well? So we'll continue to ask about that. All right, so we'll move on to agenda item 3D. This is election of directors and officers. So currently, the directors are Peter, myself, and Eric Christensen, who's the former general manager of the district. Historically, the way that the 501c3 has been organized, from a leadership perspective of directors, it's been general manager of the KMPD board president, and typically another KMP board member. In reviewing the conflict of interest policy on 3F, this is the annual renewal for it. I was of the opinion of reading it that one could consider myself as a volunteer firefighter who receives stipends that are sometimes there can be, not always, but can be funded in part through 501c3 donations to the KMPD, to the KVFD, and then to me. One could infer that in my role as a firefighter that I have a conflict of interest, given the way that this statement is written. And I would say the same thing for our current general manager, who's the volunteer fire chief of the KVFD. So, there are policies, and that's written in there. We could have a vote, and we could have, recognizing things and identifying all these things as a potential conflict of interest. But it is, of my opinion, to make sure that there is clear transparency and there's no room for people to be concerned about conflict of interest in any way, about volunteer firefighters potentially being on the 501c3 board who do get a stipend and therefore a benefit. I am going to nominate Chris Tucker to join the board of the 501c3 and Terry Leach to join, and then to maintain Peter Dornbrook as the third director of 501c3. So
So that's your motion?
that is my motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? You give it a nod.
Shall we, is there going to be discussion?
There is, if you like it.
Yes, I will simply say that, last I knew about the stipends of the volunteer fire department, they were so small as to make minuscule would be an overstatement in comparison to the conflicts of interest that roil our nation's politics. And we are off by 100 orders of magnitude or more. Nonetheless, I admire your emphasis on keeping it clean, so with some ambivalence, I will say yes, and I am now, for the first time in my illustrious career, chairperson of a 501c3. I did first go to ChatGPT to look up what are the personal liabilities of becoming, and I was not alarmed or scared off by the results. So pass this cup, I will take it,
There we go.
and here we go.
Thank you.
That was my public comment.
And then it was in terms of officer positions, the 501c3 directors, as the three of them potentially join, can decide amongst themselves. My proposal would be that Chris can serve as the president.
Oh, I did jump the gun on that.
You did mention that, so I just wanted.
I'd be happy if
I'll
someone
do
else
this
wants
one thing, but Peter is the secretary, and then Terry as the treasurer would be my recommendation, but the directors, if approved, will be able to decide that for
it.
themselves.
See, I haven't even joined, but I've already botched it up.
All right, so I have a motion, there was a second, any other discussion? Okay, I'll have a vote, all in favor, indicate with aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right.
I don't have a vote, do I?
Not yet. All right, so now you do. So
Now I
congratulations,
do.
Chris and Terry. I'm gonna hand the agenda over to you guys now. Where you.
What are we doing here?
We will help you through it. of
Terry, you
course.
get to move up.
So Terry, you can come sit up here.
You are now a director.
Does this mean I need to let myself be dunked at every annual fire party?
Oh, you know, that's a.
It is so.
Ice water. Ice water dunking.
I'm gonna move over here. So you have a few items still to go through.
So. Well, Peter, since you have tenure, why don't you please take it from where we left off? Are you willing?
Yeah, annual statement, item E.
Terry, do you want to cover the annual statement? Or do you want me to?
Would you mind doing it this time?
Sure. So in accordance, this is Rick Ansel, a community member helping the 501c3 board today. The annual statement is basically the directors understanding that there is a set bylaws, which we have here available for review, for you to review, but also more importantly, there is a conflict of interest policy that is required to be on the board of the 501c3, the KVFD 501c3. So each year, the directors review the conflict of interest policy, and then they sign an annual statement saying that one, they've received a copy of the conflict of interest policy, two, haven't read and understand the policy, and three, have agreed to comply with the policy. And then finally, four, understand the organization is charitable in order to maintain its federal tax exemption. It must engage primarily in activities which accomplish one or more of its tax exempt purposes. So I believe the annual statement was handed out earlier. I don't know if Melanie's here. If not, we'll make sure you'll be able to get a copy of the conflict of interest policy and then ask you to sign the annual statement.
Yeah, because we just got that new last, I just received it the last half hour.
Correct.
So we could sign that at a future, in the future?
It's a 2-page document, Peter, that you've signed for the last 5 years.
Oh,
Since you've been on the 501c3 board. It hasn't changed at all.
oh, okay.
So it's basically just saying, hey, what I just mentioned before. Yeah, he'll have time to review it.
Okay.
And that concludes those agenda items for the annual statement and conflict of interest policy.
Okay. Any questions? All right, the next item G is the fire stipend funding for the years 225 and 226.
Okay.
Tuition reimbursement program. So this is here.
That's next.
Oh,
That's a separate item. According,
To our agenda.
I mean,
I have a different, yeah, sorry, this is not the same. It
okay.
doesn't matter.
So I'll cover this as well. Again, this is Rick Ansel. It's actually, I'm the fire chief for the Kirkwood Volunteer Fire Department. Since July of 2022, the 501c3 has generously donated money towards our existing Kirkwood Volunteer On-Call stipend system. At that time in 2022, we felt it was necessary and the KMPUD board approved increasing the current stipend up to what it is today. And essentially it's about $112,000 a year to $122,000 a year. That said, again, the 501c3 board has been generous to give us half of that stipend increase from 2022 every year since then. For example, in 22, it was $55,000 donation. In 23, it was $54,000 donation. 24 was $53,720, and then this year it was $54,000. So the request today is again for the 501c3 to continue to supplement the Kirkwood Volunteer On-Call Fire Department stipend, and we would ask that the stipend be consistent and or similar to what's been given in the past. Basically, the amount between 52,000 and about 56,000. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Rick.
Currently, what amount do we have in our 501c3?
The current balance in the actual 501c3 is about $215,000. But let's note that, as you remember in years past, there was a subcommittee created to develop and or improve the playground. And a special fundraising drive was created at that time to support that activity. And so not all the money was used during that donation drive. And there's approximately $50,000 still in the 501c3 bank account set aside for playground.
Included in the 200.
Included in the 200. So there's approximately $165,000 dedicated toward fire per the 501c3's board direction. Now the board could change that and redirect the $50,000 toward fire in a future meeting, or to leave it as is, but that's the current status of our bank account.
Okay, just curious. All right.
If we have just very short, a few minutes for a bit of a remedial or overview discussion about all this. The 50,000 you mentioned was a special interest, special fund. It was for the playground, and I understand that. The 160 some odd, how much of that would have come recently, like in the last, because our main source of funds for this is the summer, it's the summer fundraiser, right? The party.
Correct.
There have been over the years, various special fundraisers, special get out the contributions efforts, but how much of the 170 came from last summer, roughly?
We are still calculating the recap of that event. Terry, I think it was like 45 to 58.
That's just ballpark. Okay, so that means we came into the year with about 100. Or what are our outlays? We paid for stipends. All of the money is, no, that's not true. We spend it on equipment and we spend it on stipends.
Historically, the fundraising activities were all dedicated toward equipment. For example, purchasing fire trucks, the air compressor for the fire station, and other items. There was one winter where the board approved supplementing some income for a part-time firefighter. But that got into it got a little messy because the firefighter,
That's okay.
it was supplemented by the district's budget and it got really complicated. So at this time, we're not recommending supplementing any 501c3 funds toward labor other than the stipend itself at this time.
Okay. Obviously, most of the expenses of the fire department come from its own fund. And it has a revenue source, property tax allocations and so forth. So this 501(c)(3) is a bit of an ancillary. It's a separate fund, but whose sole purpose is, except for the playground, is to fund fire department equipment and volunteer staff, right?
Yes, to be clear, it is not an arm of the KMPUD. It's not a further extension of the KVFD Fire Department. It's its own
I
entity.
understand.
So,
And I'll familiarize myself with the mission and things like that, but I assume the mission says this exists mostly to support the fire department and some other Kirkwood community assets, something like that.
correct.
If it's not fair to ask this ballpark question, just tell me, but if you had to, in the last 2 or 3 or 10 years, how much money has the 501(c)(3) laid out? Would you guess it's on the order of 100,000 or $500,000 or?
That's a good question. Probably $500,000 off the top of my head
Probably in the last.
with
5 years,
equipment
maybe.
and stipend supplements and other activities.
Okay, it might be nice, just, at a next meeting, and maybe even if that's a year from now, it might be nice to just get and I guess this would all be in the financials, right? There's a financial report, I can figure out, of the hundreds of thousands that the 501(c)(3) has put out in the last few years. Maybe half of it is for staff personnel stipends and the other half is for equipment, or maybe it's 80-20 for equipment. I don't know, but I'll be curious to see what that is.
Yeah, I think it's maybe 25% of the total amount, but the total amount changes depending on what the needs are and what the purchases are.
In the last question, in the last couple of years, and as we look over the next 1 year, is essentially all of the proceeds, all of the income from the one-time event in summer, or are there multiple sources of money coming in?
Currently, there are 2 sources. There are general donations to the fire department from the community and some of the outlying community
From individuals.
neighborhoods. Silver Lake, for example, Kit Carson, they'll make a donation to us.
Oh,
But community at large, and then the biggest fundraising activity is the Kirkwood Summer Festival, which is heavily supported by the Vail Epic Promise
right, okay,
donation.
thank you,
Great.
no more questions.
Okay, item H.
So we'll need a motion to continue to support the fire department with stipends in the amounts between $50,000 and $55,000.
Yeah, I so move to continue funding the fire stipend for years 25-26.
We'll need a
Second
second.
it? Okay, I will second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, right.
Okay, next item, item H is a fire education tuition reimbursement program.
Yeah, so I can cover that. Again, Rick Ansel representing the Kirkwood Volunteer Fire Department, that's chief, making a formal request for making a formal request to continue the supplemental fire education tuition reimbursement for up to $10,000. Again, these funds were used and are used to support our volunteers who seek to go out and get trained on their own. For example, there's a volunteer in the audience who became an EMT who received a grant from, or received funds from the fire department from a grant from the 501c3 here today to become an EMT. We're currently hosting a Title 22 first aid course, and these were funds that were donated from the 501c3 to help support the training. So my request again is to continue this program up to $10,000 for this next fiscal year to be used for tuition reimbursement and or training for the Kirkwood Volunteer Fire Department.
Any questions? I would move to continue that process.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Yeah.
All right,
EMS, what's your?
one last item, request for EMS equipment purchase.
Again, Chief Ansel with Kirkwood Volunteer Fire Department. With the recent fundraising activities at the Kirkwood Summer Festival, as we discussed, which we received approximately $45,000 to $50,000. I think it's important for us to continue to honor our promises to the community to purchase needed equipment for the fire department. What's before you today is a request to purchase a Lucas CPR compression device, which is a device that's used for during CPR events. And a picture of it, I'm sorry, I don't have a larger picture, or maybe on this last slide. If you look here on the top right of this last slide, essentially this device is used to do chest compressions on a patient who's gone down, has had a heart attack or something like that. And it allows us to free up the volunteers to either monitor their airway or do other activities. Where today, right now, if we had a CPR in progress call, it would take 2 volunteers to basically do these compressions on a patient, as well as monitor the airway and do everything else. So this device has come out recently in the last 5 years. It's become more refined. It's smart enough to know how deep to make the compression, and it basically frees up a firefighter to do other activities, but also it monitors the compression and does a better job of providing basically replacing the pumping of the heart via manual systems. Didn't say that very well, but what I'm asking again is to purchase this device. It costs about $20,000, and then there'll be some supplemental training that's required. And we'd like to have Sherry, who's teaching our first aid course now, or Title 22 course, provide the training. And this is actually her slide from Upskill that talks a little bit about the device. But all in all, what I'm asking for is a donation of $25,000 from the 501c3 to purchase the device for the fire department. And with our sometimes low volunteer staffing levels, this is just going to be a very invaluable tool for either myself or if someone else goes on a call by themselves, that's one less thing they have to think about. They don't have to stop their airway management and actually let the machine do the work. This is a device that's also being used by neighboring agencies, and so it's been a tested, well-used device, and I think it would be a great asset for our volunteer fire department.
So what kind of certification is required from our volunteers to be able to use this piece of equipment?
They have to be at least a CPR AED certified at professional level certification, which most all of our volunteers have, or they will in the next couple of weeks for some of the new ones. But beyond that, there's a 4-hour familiarization course that Upskill is willing to teach us to basically introduce us to the device. It's not very complicated. Basically, it's attach the baseboard to the device, hook it over, turn it on, and that's it. And it's smart enough to talk to our AED, so it's the way of the future, essentially. But if you go on a ALS ambulance right now with the CPR call aircraft, this is the device they're going to use. So,
And where is it attached to the victim's body?
yep. I'm sorry?
Does it attach to the victim's body?
It actually goes across their chest.
Okay, what the hell?
Yeah, so it'll fit across their chest. That's what I mean. The backboard, they'll put a back plate on, you'll put it over across their chest, you'll hit a button, and it'll begin the compressions on the chest, which allows the firefighter to, again, maintain the airway and do other activities. If it's just one person, if it's two people, then it's even more beneficial.
Right. It sounds like a great idea.
Just to remind the board, we're about 6 minutes away from the next board meeting, so for three.
The clock's wrong.
Oh, for three.
I support this, we'll vote for it. Why does the fire department come to the 501c3 as opposed to going to other funds? It's not in the CapEx plan, I guess.
It is not on the CapEx plan. This is a relatively new device that's become available.
Just a new thing and it wasn't planned.
Exactly, and
Okay. I move that we approve this recommendation.
I'll second that. All in favor?
I
Aye.
okay, thank you. General discussion,
afraid I preempted that 10 minutes ago, so.
okay. And then,
Anyone else have anything, any items you want to bring up? If not, this meeting is adjourned. We'll see you next in a year.
The next meeting is next year, is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
Officially on something.
Unless something comes up.
Was anything?
according to
Oh,
this,
perfect.
said yes.
No, don't stop it. Cancel.
It looks like it canceled.
How are you?
Yeah.
Want to stop recording to the
Oh,
cloud? Cancel.
yes, sorry.
No, you're good.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go into the board meeting. Is there a way to hide this screen? Like as people come in, this thing's always gonna be bouncing around up there.
I see what you mean. I don't,
Like on my computer, I have two screens and I'll just drag this over there. So
yeah,
come in and playing with that or just questioning.
right.
Peter, how are you?
I don't know if I can.
I don't know, honestly.
What's that?
I know.
If you go to
It'd be hard to.
like mine, next to that, the box. You're good. It might let you do like, oh, you're really good, where you do this.
Oh,
And then with it, you just have to hover over that and then you can figure out what you wanna.
yeah, but I'm still splitting there. And I wanna split on the bottom there.
Alright.
Yeah. Sorry, you're good.
Yeah. You came up.
Hey, we're not a little computer.
So-
Hey, I'm IT, okay? Let me get you.
Talk about like. What am I doing? I don't know. One.
Way out of my.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't have an out before, right?